So we're talking about multiplying polynomials. We're going to take a little bit of what we did last week or in week 1 and add something that we just did. So last week, or in week 1, we did distributive property, where I was multiplying. There's a number in front of the brackets. So I took that number and I multiplied it in. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to show you 2 different ways that you can do, and maybe you'll like this one more than what we did before. So there's one way that we did last week, which is down here, and then there's another way that we're going to do up here. So method 1 is using a grid. It's kind of like an area model. So let's take the number that we're multiplying, so 2, and write it down there. That 2 is here on this side. Now up here I have 1, 2, 3 terms. So I'm going to have 3 boxes. 1, 2, 3 boxes. And this number belongs to this box. This number belongs to this box. This number belongs to this box. So I'm going to write them on top of the box. X squared. And I'm going to take the sign with it. So the next one will be negative 4x. And the next one will be positive 3 over there. And what we're going to do is multiply. So I'm going to multiply 2 times x squared. Well, there's a 1 in front, imaginary 1 here. So 2 times 1 is 2. And there was an x squared when I multiplied, but there's no x on the 2 over here. So there's nothing to change this x squared. It's going to stay x squared. So multiplying 2 times x squared made 2x squared. Now we're going to do the same thing with the next box. It's going to be 2 times negative 4x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. There's no x here, but there is an x over here. And I didn't have any other x's to multiply it with, so it doesn't change, it just stays x. Then the last step is to take 2 times negative 3. What's 2 times positive 3? Positive 6. And I write positive 6. And that's my answer. This grid here, whatever's in the box, tells me what my answer is. 2x squared minus 8x plus 6. Okay, so you have to write that statement at the end, what it's equal to. So this is the same thing, just a different method is what I showed you last week. I take the number outside and I draw the arrows and multiply it in. So 2 times x squared, multiplying by the 1 in front, so that'd be 2 times x squared. We do it again. 2 times the next term, so 2 times negative 4 makes negative 8. There's an x there, but no x in the 2. So it just stays negative 8x. 2 times positive 3 is positive 6. Okay, same answer, just a different method. Depends on what you like. So I'll do both for the next one, and then after that, you decide whatever you want to do. I usually stick with the method 2, the arrows. That's just what I learned when I was younger, so that's what I stick with. It's easier for me. Okay, so let's look at this. 3x times x minus 7. So if I use the grid method, I'm taking the 3x and I'm multiplying by 2 terms, x and negative 7. So when I'm drawing my grid, I need only 2 boxes. So I'm going to write on the short side will be the thing that's outside the brackets, 3x. And then on top of the 2 boxes, I have the 2 terms inside the brackets, so x and -7. So now when I multiply, I'm multiplying just like a multiplication table, right? This times this. So 3x times x. Number times number, letter times letter. The imaginary number that's in front of this is 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. X times x is x squared. Then I need the answer for the other box. So 3x times -7. I do number times number and letter times letter. 3 times -7 is -21. There's an x here, but no x in that spot over there. So I'm not multiplying any letters, so that x is going to stay just x. So all of this then would be equal to 3x squared, because that's what I got from the first box, minus 21x. So the second method is distributive property. Or distribute. So I'm going to rewrite it. I have 3x times x minus 7. So if we're just going to distribute only, I'm going to take the 3x, draw an arrow, and multiply with x. 3 times the imaginary 1 that's in front of x is 3. X times x makes x squared. And now I need to multiply this by the second term as well, -7. So 3 times -7 is -21. Again, there's nothing to change that x, so it becomes -21x. And as you can see, same answers, different methods. It's just whatever you prefer. So I'm going to stick with distribute, but I know a lot of people like the grid method. It takes a slightly bit longer. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. All right. So B, -6x times all of these things, all 3. So that whole thing times that whole thing. Equal sign. -6 times 4 is -24. X times x squared makes x to the power 3. Okay, there's an imaginary 1 there on top of that x. So I'm adding 1 and 2. This 1 here, and that 2 there. These 2 things combine to make 3. Okay, now if I continue, this -6x times -8x. So -6 times -8, number times number. It's positive 48. X times x is x squared. Remember, I'm adding the exponents. There's an imaginary 1. There's the imaginary 1 over here. So we got the imaginary 1, imaginary 1. We add them together. We have 2. It's not imaginary, we just don't write it. We're too lazy to write it, so it's not there. But it does exist, we just don't write it. Okay, now we have the last term, so times 4. Negative 6 times positive 4 makes negative 24. We have x here, no x here, so it's not going to change. It's just going to stay x. Okay, I'm going to show you the calculations on the side here, just in case. So for this first part here, okay, ignore all of this. It's like you have 3 different questions almost. I'm just multiplying these two terms here. Negative 6 x times 4x squared. So negative 6 times positive 4 is negative 24. Then I have x times x squared. So we take that imaginary one that's here, or the invisible one, that's a better word, invisible one, and add with the 2 to make x cubed. So that's the first term. Now, if I now ignore the other 2 terms, forget this, forget that there for a second. Now what I'm doing is negative 6x times negative 8x. Negative 6 times negative 8 is positive 48. X times x is x squared. So that's where the middle term comes from. And finally, we're going to ignore, oh, we're going to keep that there. We're going to ignore these 2 terms and just look at the positive 4. So negative 6x times 4, negative 24x. So that's where that comes from. Okay. I wouldn't do it like this all the time. Maybe at first, if you want to get more practice and it's easier for you, go ahead and do it this way. But hopefully you get towards this. Okay, now we have lots of practice questions again down here. I will, just like always, put up the solutions as soon as I can. Oh, there's warm-up I didn't do. Well, we can just do it now. So it's similar to the warm-up we did in the previous lesson. I want to find the area of this rectangle. So I would do length times width, side times side. So 2x times 4x. So now I'm not going to get a nice number like 12 or something like that. It's going to be an expression. So I'm multiplying these 2 things. And I do number times number, letter times letter. 2 times 4 is 8. X times x is x squared. So the area of this is 8x squared. So now down here we're finding the volume of this prism, and the volume of a cube or a rectangular prism is length times width times height. So I have 5x times 3x times 4x. So number times number times number in this case, and letter times letter times letter. 5 times 3 times 4. 5 times 3 is 15, times 4 would be 60. X times x times x is x cubed. So the volume of this shape here is 60x cubed. Okay, it's just a visual of what these things would look like. finally down here, yeah, let's write this out the long way so you understand what I'm saying when I say number times number. So 4 times -5 and x cubed times x squared. So I've separated, right? I have 4 there, the -5 there. I put the x cubed there, and the x squared over there. I'm just separating it out. I'm writing in a different order, but when I'm multiplying, it doesn't matter what the order is. So if now we multiply the number and the number, make -20. The letters, or the variables, 3 plus 2 makes 5. We add the exponents when we're multiplying powers, and that will be the answer. Okay, for some reason the warm-up was at the end, but that doesn't matter. So please complete all the practice questions here as much as you can. I know there's a lot, but the more practice you have, the better you get at it, and the less you'll worry about or less mistakes you'll make. Please remember to watch